Hello, everybody. Once again, it is I, Brendan Traxler. It is what is this? January, February, March, April, May. May. April, May always get mixed up in my head for some reason. I get mixed around. But anyway, it is the May 11th episode of Colonize the Ocean podcast. And we're continuing on this, endeavor here of several weeks here. It's been over a month now, just talking about seasteading and stuff along those lines. But today we're talking about something that we've talked about quite a bit, and it's construction materials. When we were talking about underwater habitats and such, weight is your friend. We want heavier stuff. We want concretes. We want steels. We want this material to sink us and hold us underwater because we're living in a steel bubble that wants to rise to the surface. But when we're talking about structures on floating, lighter is better. And so today we're going to talk about a couple of different technologies that are rising, because right now the standard, just like it is underwater, is, you're even looking at aluminum, steel, concrete for most of your floating structures. Not talking about boats and stuff along those lines. And for the most part, that's more of an expensive material. That can range anywhere from $800 to $2,200 per ton when you start looking at that. And most of it isn't light, so it doesn't float all that great. So then you have to design around that. And on top of that, if you're wanting to look at an environmental aspect of the whole thing, it's not the greenest way to go either. Concrete itself makes up 9% of carbon emissions to create concrete out there. So there are better ways of doing it. Some of them are still very new, but we're going to talk about a couple here today that I think they're fascinating. And they do have applications for the underwater world as well, especially when it comes to underwater habitats. And we'll talk about that here in a second. First up, especially if you were involved in the seasteading groups, you see a bunch of SeaBrick. And SeaBrick, it's an active project. And basically what it is, it's Legos pretty much for the sea. They are actually made from like sargassum and kelp and other stuff that are chopped up, mixed together, compressed into these blocks that then just interlock. And so you can grow it as big as you need to be. And the nice thing about that is, versus the $800 to $2,200 per ton, these cost around $360 per ton. So it's a huge cost savings. Plus it's environmentally friendly. Plus it's scalable. And they're working on those right now. And they're seeing great results from that. And it floats great as well. So it is a win-win all the way across the board from what they're seeing early on with that. Another thing out there is 3D printed coral wraps. And basically what that is they take like clay structures and they build these clay structures, and the coral starts attaching to it and creating these shelters, not only for coral, but great areas for sea walls, artificial reefs, undersides of floating platforms and stuff as well, to create a protective barrier on whatever you're building as well. The nice thing about that is, not only is it, like we've talked before, we want to bring sea life to our habitats and to our structures. And this is one of the ones that might be great for underwater, because you build these structures onto your steel habitats, and then you're creating your own biodiverse environment right there at your window. And same thing with this. It's helping to create a culture, an underwater culture, as well as cleaning up the ocean, because coral is great at doing that. So, and it's 3D printed too, so you can make lots of them and build as needed too at a low cost. And lastly, the last thing we're talking about is there's newer types of high strength marine cements out there that are 3D printed. And a lot of those that they're working with and testing at, actually using seawater and the seafloor sediment itself to build the cement. So you're not needing all the standard non-green ways of building cement to build this. And another thing is, because it's using readily available structures, you can build this anywhere. So you could be building underwater structures on site underwater with this technique. Obviously, right now it's being used for floating, but again, they should go either way. And so the nice thing about all these things are all these materials are cheaper, greener ways of doing this. They're 50 to 80% cheaper than this traditional way that we have looked at building and constructing on and under the water. And they're a carbon negative effect instead of being, non-green. And lastly, the trifecta of this whole thing is most of them are actually helping healing the ocean by cleaning it, by growing it, by harnessing it. And so it's giving back to the environment instead of purely taking from it too. So those are three things that they're looking at. I'm not personally looking at it. I'm not doing it, but that is an active supply right now, and it's being built and tested and tried in different environments. And so if that's something that you guys are interested in or that you want more information on that, like I said, the Seasteading Institute has a lot of this information on there. There's tons of Discord groups on there. You can shoot me a message, and I can shoot you more information on it as well. But yeah, this comes to our time when we talk about our Patreon. And we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Atlantis Sea Colony. Every week we put a poll out there pertaining to what was going on here on this podcast. Last week we talked about the hybrid ocean. And I guess it didn't resonate that well because, lots of people viewed it, but nobody took the poll. Or did they? Oh, no, there was one. Patreon changed the color scheme, I guess. It didn't look like anybody took the poll, but as I'm looking at it now for like the 10th time, I now see somebody took the poll. Anyway, needless to say. So they're talking about, the whole idea was ocean to floating habitat, what that looked like, how that came into play, different texts and all that kind of stuff. Go back and listen to it if you're interested. But regardless, the poll played out this way. It was, which part of the connected future excites you most about the first real hybrid colony? And we had 5 little questions. One was the seamless dry transfer tunnels, walking straight from your floating deck down to your underwater pod, underwater data centers, 3D scalable living, growing a colony both above and below the waves for maximum space and resilience, dual layer stormproof life, so you can be above the waves, and if it gets too bad, you can go below, or shared life support tech, one seamless system powering both oxygen, water recycling, and comfort across both worlds. And that last one was the favorite there. They got the votes on that one. So if this is something fun we're doing, you can go over there. You don't have to join or anything. They're free polls I put out there every week. Go check them out. And with that being said, there'll be a new one up by the time you watch this. So go do that. And we will be back here next week talking about something else. I'll see you then.